noble houses, and their daring retainers advance their agendas in the fantastic city of intrigue and danger called Ilrien. Power politics, Renaissance magic, gunpowder diplomacy, and romantic skullduggery await all retainers seeking power and prestige. We, the talented retainers, embroil ourselves in the exceedingly polite civil war that eternally unfolds in the streets. We risk the ire of the other noble houses, the criminal underworld, and beings stranger still. Our loyalties are challenged as we are torn between duty, the lure of power, and the siren call of our hearts. What will we risk to rise to the top? What will the great game take from us along the way?
Well, howdy, friends and floor heads. Happy Thursday night. It is episode 4 of our Quarter Blades play. We have done our first errand, and now we're going to go into another phase, which is very typical here in Forged in the Dark, and that is our downtime. So, Sean, as I bring Donald back into our game here, I'll let you take things over.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have done what canny retainers do. We have done our first errand of the season. We have gone out. We have served the house's will well, and now it's time to get what we're owed. Right? Like at this point, we have done a good turn for not just the house, but also a number of other factions. Right? So we're entering payoff right now, where we get our just desserts. So first off, in doing this errand, the Wolves of Westbrook have earned 5 influence for the coterie as a whole to distribute among themselves. We have earned a favor with the house. We have earned a favor with the Bank of Brass and Bone, and we have earned a favor with the Brizzolato crime family. All of these people we have served in good stead in our engagement at the Rake's Clench. The clasp, actually, the Rake's clasp. Mm-hmm. I remember things. Now, unfortunately, like because all things get back to the house, we, didn't execute this clandestinely. It wasn't exactly like a sort of a society soiree so much as it was like a brawl. There were bodies that hit the floor. Like it's a whole.
That wasn't our fault.
No. But you were there, right? It's true. Somebody can probably attest to that. Now it wasn't like wild and out of control. We didn't set the city on fire or anything like that. So it's fine. As far as shame goes, we get away with a very respectable 4 shame. Exposure. 4 exposure. We don't start with shame. When we tick over the clock, then we get a shame. 4 exposure and 5 influence to speed us along, right? So in Ilrien at this point, we kind of get the moment to catch our breath. We've gotten stress. We've got I think everybody's injuries are level 1, right?
I have no injuries.
You have no injuries. Okay.
No harmful me.
Just floating above
you
the
left.
Just right. levitating like a being of white light above us. But everybody else, right? Everybody else who has harm, level 1, right? Okay.
No, I actually had a level 2 social harm.
You had a level 2 social harm that we brought down 1, right?
I thought it started at level 3 and went down.
Oh, it did. 2. You're right.
Yeah, okay. I think so.
So that social harm is one of those ones that you can't like go to the physician and get repaired. So healing for social harm might be going and talking to Apollo. It might be any number of things like that we can take care of in downtime. Level 1 harm of all kind, like their bumps, their bruises, their a cutting word, and you will eventually be able to just kind of shake that off. So level 1 harm always goes away. Level 2 harm we need to reduce during downtime. So as far as like downtime is where you can kind of pitch scenes to me. What do we see like your characters doing in the interim, in those moments of quiet and rest where they are at their leisure, because the season continues, right? We have to get ourselves back in fighting trim to go and execute the will of the house yet again, go into danger and get embroiled in skullduggery. So we need to pay down stress. We need to heal our injuries. We can pursue long-term projects, change the face of Ilrien itself. Who has an idea where they want to start?
Well, I was going to suggest that before we start doing our individual downtime activities, I feel like there's a conversation that needs to take place.
Interesting.
Possibly several conversations.
Okay.
But it's like when we get back to have we established what our home base is?
I don't know that we ever did. I know that like we have our gondola that we are a fan of. But do you guys have like apartments, or is there a safe house? Is there a place where the wolves of Westbrook gather when it's time to plan their next move?
Yeah, I don't imagine that we live there, but I think a place that is sort of our, maybe a basement or a back room in a friendly wine shop or something like that.
Sure.
So in the first session, we did have that one place where we met that was underground. You remember?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We took the gondola there.
Perfect.
That'll work. Okay.
We do.
Like
We do have that
catacomb that we've converted.
That disused catacomb grotto area.
Because I feel like this conversation couldn't happen anywhere that would be overheard.
I don't want to have it on the gondola. I'll put it that way.
We don't want to have it on the Corvetto grounds either.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
So it's
All right,
like
so
when we get back, did anyone else notice anything odd at the end of that fracas?
Yes, I actually had something I needed to talk to Godfrey about.
I think we should all talk about a lot of things.
So I had something really important that I need to tell you, Godfrey. I must wholeheartedly regret to tell you that I believe you have started to rub off on me. I actually put the needs of my house above my personal needs twice tonight.
Don't let it happen again.
And I'm just going to smile and just put my hand like paternally on your shoulder and just give you like good, and just give you that almost, just a paternal pat on the shoulder. Like, I'm proud of you. You can see it in my face.
taking your first step into a much larger world.
So nothing strange happened at the end? Just me then?
Well, I mean, you do often see that, you were up top, so you do see the strange things.
Yes, but I think you would have noticed all the dead people getting back up and time running backwards and everyone running out of the building.
No. You shot that. I think it's when you shot that guy.
Wait. Okay, yeah, sorry.
Because I seem to remember that we all saw them.
I forget. You're not used to being there. People running out of the building, that happens all the time.
Yes, but they were running backwards. It's very, very... There was definitely something odd that went on.
Okay.
Maybe you did it?
I'm pretty sure I didn't do it.
I think there's only one person who could explain it. Nestor.
Guys, I gotta be honest with you.
Yes, you do.
After Sarum got shot, I blacked out. I don't remember a damn thing. Next day I woke up, we were all outside. It was a hell of a shot. I gotta give it. I remember the shot well. I caught the mask. Next thing I know, there we are. It's unexplainable.
In a different game, this is where I would ask for an insight check. But
In this game, you all know I'm full of crap.
I got nothing. I mean, you did want me to shoot him, right? If there's a large melee going on and I see a big flashing signal, I tend to shoot that person. So I hope
Yes,
that's
if I
what
could
you
do
want.
letters, I would have done letters. But I also
So-
know you can't read, so.
So Tharsis, you were at one point offered money to bring Nestor in dead or alive, but they yet live free, right? That's your bond with Nestor. So
Right.
clearly there's probably like some mistrust still in that relationship, right?
I view it more as Tharsis using that as some sort of lighthearted leverage. It's like, I could still get a pretty penny for bringing you back to this column. But,
Sure. Yeah. But when you
I
say
think
like,
if there's mistrust, I think it's largely because Tharsis does not know about knack magic or anything like that,
Mhm.
and he generally is a little squicked out by it.
yeah, knackery is weird.
Yeah.
Like it's more instinctive. Like it's an alien thing that some people are just able to do. And like you can learn parlor tricks, but you can't learn to do what a knack does, right?
Right. And whatever happened at the end of that was big. That
It was
was
big, yeah.
dozens, if not hundreds of people being affected by this.
Exactly. Yeah. And like people who are ostensibly like dead, right? Like just getting up and marionetting their way out of the. Do you think Nestor did it?
I don't know who else would have. I
That's fair.
I can't conceive of Nestor being able to do that.
Because the only other knack had a bullet in him, right? And he didn't get up. In fact, you couldn't find him afterward, right? So Nestor, how much? Because like we get to interrogate the fiction here outside of the fiction.
Yeah.
How much do you think Nestor really does remember? Is it all of it?
Nestor knows he pulled the the debt curse off, but Nestor, he knows what happened. He knows he caused it. He has no idea how.
Right. And so this is more prevarication to like, wait until I figure something out and actually have something to say here. It's better to remain silent and be thought a fool, right?
No, I'll probably tell Tharsis later.
Oh.
But I can't tell Godfrey, because if I tell Godfrey, then I tell him that his love is something else, and
the chains of the heart.
I gotta keep that from him, and so I think Godfrey could probably tell this entire thing is aimed at him, and he's being the eye. He could probably tell that.
So
When you say aimed at me, what do you mean?
I'm hoping to fool you. I plan on telling him later, but I'm clearly the deception is aimed your way.
Yeah, and I don't know if I would pick up on me being the target versus the three of us being the target.
Sure.
And unfortunately, for me, I'm so dismissive of you that I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible move on my part, considering how powerful you are.
Yeah. So Tristane does have a question that might help follow the fiction, shall we say. So, Nestor, do you think maybe it was a spell that Sarum was trying to cast when he heard the gunshot to reverse the bullet back into the barrel, and then when he got hit with the gunshot, it went out of control?
I think so. There was a fae next to me as well, and you know what they do to magic.
Not really, but okay.
Neither do I, but I'm going to pretend like
So
that's a normal thing to say.
Do you know what he was doing when I shot him? It looked like he was doing something big.
Honestly, I was just getting ready to duck because I wasn't sure if you were aimed.
Why do we even keep him here?
Because I
That's
save us
hell
all
of
and
a
win
question.
the day, it turns out.
Oh, so you did do it.
Magical genius. As I said, I blacked out.
My training took over.
Yeah.
I thought we kept him. I thought we
maybe
kept
I'm a
him
genius?
to minimize the boredom.
Well, I'm keeping him as a potential retirement fund if he bothers me too much, but we'll see.
No, I must say, though, wonderful shot. You really did save my bacon. I was no match for that man.
You're welcome.
And I do appreciate it.
I'll just assume that's things that happen sometimes.
I have a more important question for Loverboy here. How'd it go?
Progress.
Good.
Progress. She's not one to woo in a day. I'd like to turn to you, Tristane, and ask if I can steal a moment from you.
Sure.
And when I get a chance to pull you aside, friend, I got a sense you and Apollo had a moment.
Some bad, some good.
I think your status with him is not only important for you, but I think it's important for the house. And with your permission, I would like to spend some time working my angles, following some of the birds that I have planted. Who plants birds? Where the hell did that come from?
I was going to ask.
And a partridge in
Go
a
with it.
pear
Go with
tree.
it.
That's the eunuch from Game of Thrones. I
Yeah,
know.
really.
Ilrien metaphor. It's weird,
Wow.
man.
And see if I can't repair things a bit. And I may not be able to do all of it, but I'd like to give it a start. But I wouldn't want to do that, Tristane, without your permission.
Oh no, to be honest, I'm hoping that the end of the night started the repair of the earlier. I actually have an associate named Blair who helped us earlier in this errand, who is interested in possibly joining the Bertzeralado. So I had already been planning on trying to help smooth some stuff over so that I could potentially get a appointment with Apollo to introduce him to Blair, because it sounds like Apollo may be looking for some new people in his organization. So yes, so any help would be greatly appreciated.
Why don't you let me take care of making sure that appointment happens?
Okay.
What is something I can leverage about Blair that would help me in that process? So in your mind, why would it be beneficial to Apollo to have a sit down with Blair? What does Blair bring?
Blair is hungry. He's from a lesser house.
Okay.
And so he knows by birth he's never going to get to the place he wants, and he's looking for an alternative. And so he's being a lesser house, he might have some connections, and he at least has some polish that your general street ruffian doesn't have. But it also means that he may be a little more loyal to Apollo because he's looking for that person whose tails he can follow, even if Blair wouldn't admit that. I really think that's what's going on here. Is he's looking for some coattails that he can tag on to.
Let's say theoretically an opening were to happen in Apollo's group.
Oh, I think that's definitely happened recently.
Okay. Perfect. I will. That's what I will focus on, Tristane.
Okay.
I will let you know how it goes so that you can continue it.
Cool. Thank you.
While he's got him pulled aside, can we have a conversation as well?
I don't see why not. Tharsis is probably just sitting there staring at you. He's got like one of his throwing knives in his hand. He's just kind of flipping it back and forth and just staring at you, waiting to see if you're going to say anything.
I think Nestor's trying to catch it out of the air, but you just have the knack. I just can't get it. And in between catches, I lean forward and I just say, he can't know about Nadia, and lean back.
Know what about her?
She's not human.
What tells you that?
I saw it through the mask. The last thing I saw wasn't the shot. It was after the shot where I had the mask. I saw her. She was indebted to the bank. I saw to that. But she is not human.
You have to tell him.
Break him. We can't.
What do you think she will do to him?
Could it be worse than what we would do to him by telling him?
No, but think of how she could manipulate him. Do you know what she is? Do you know what her intentions are?
He's as much of a master of the manipulation and of social things as I was going to say I am of magic, but as Sauron is of magic.
Not anymore.
He is.
Here's the thing. You have never been in love. I know this because you're assuming that a man who is in love is thinking, and he is not.
Look, I love myself very much.
That explains the noises. But sorry, Craig, I saw you taking a drink. I had to. My point is,
We can't promise.
he is so vulnerable with respect to her.
So you've got his back. I've got his back. We got him.
What do you expect? What is she if she's not human?
I think she's Fae.
And you just are going to let her enchant him or whatever they do?
Could really be more than where he is right now with her.
I think that is a dangerous weakness in our organization.
I can tell you've never been in love, because if you had, you wouldn't act like this is not.
I've been in love several times this month. My point
And
is,
it's only the 15th.
right, exactly. My
It's
point
early in the
is,
season.
if there is a fey creature who has leverage over one of our own, that puts all of us in danger.
Which is why we watch out. That's why we protect him. It's why we're a coterie. It's why we're the wolves. But he can't know.
So this is going to be one of those classic old comedies where every time he has a date, one of us is peeping from behind the
Through
hedge.
the bushes.
I mean, we'd be doing that anyways. Let's be honest.
I mean, to be fair, it is his turn.
I don't like it.
Okay. All right. But it sounds like an uneasy accord, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like, we've already established that like Nestor's no expert in what Fae are or do or anything like that. Like you've managed to command one to be still. You've managed to hold one at bay, but you've managed to resuscitate one. But whatever it is that Nadia can do or might want or things like that is different. And now that like she's a bigwig in the Bank of Brass and Bone, the organization to which most nobles in Ilrien are indebted. So that could have all manner of interesting follow-on effects, couldn't it? So maybe she'll be too busy to tighten the strings on your compatriot. That's a big maybe, right? I wonder, like, do you have any words for Godfrey, or do you think, Nestor, that like Godfrey is fine beyond needing your advice or any kind of warning? Or
There's no advice Nestor could give that Godfrey's going to take.
that's fair.
I think one of my downtime actions is going to involve starting a long-term project to protect him.
Interesting.
But that's not going to be something that I'm involving him in, because he'll resist every step of the way.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. And does that track with you, Godfrey? Does that track with Godfrey? Yeah. No, you're not gonna, like, if he were to bring this to you, like he has you pretty exact then?
Yeah, there's no question. And the one thing I think I'll add, and there's no question in my mind that the twins would know this, which is the best way to stall my chase of Nadia is to keep me busy. Right. So I think knowing that it's important for me that Tristane and Apollo are repaired. Perfect example of that. Like, if we can just keep Godfrey busy, it'll slow all of this down.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. So as long as you've got a direction, like you can't get too in over your head, right?
Exactly. Left to my own devices, then all focus will go to Nadia, and they know that. But I am easily distracted, especially if it's tied to my ego.
For some reason, it's much easier to sink if you're not swimming, right?
Exactly.
Okay, fair enough. I like that. The idea that you are driven, but left to your own devices, you could very easily remember. Okay, cool. I like that. Thank you for the dagger. Okay, so this scene where we're down in the grotto, I think that like the only thing I'm gonna gonna like bring to this particular scene is I think that like usually you're in here. I'm seeing kind of like this big cavernous space below the city where casks were probably at one point stored. It was a storage area with like a cistern or something like that. And you've always been the only ones down here, but this time there is a solid white cat just sitting kind of unobtrusively at the back of the storage area, and it doesn't like hiss or make a nuisance of itself. It just curls up and appears to watch.
Tharsis kind of looks at Nestor, looks at the cat, looks at Nestor, and says with an absolutely straight face, "Is that a cat?"
No.
Yeah, I think Nestor looks at the cat.
It looks back at you.
50-50. Honestly, at this point, I have no idea. Yeah,
It yawns, unimpressed.
If it's the Fae, we've got their attention. Interrupting him is only going to make us more interesting to them.
I'm not feeding it.
I was going to say, do you give Faye cream to get rid of them or keep them?
Both.
Because I have the feeling that if you give Faye cream, he'll leave. If it's Faye, he'll leave. But if it's a cat, he'll bring all his friends.
We do not want this area to smell like cat pee. You never get that out.
And I don't think we'll need to feed it. God knows there are enough rats down here.
Seems handy, honestly.
Right? You guys have a team cat now.
And what's the worst that happens?
Yeah. What's the worst that could happen?
How much time do you have?
As long as it doesn't get into the wine, because I mean, this place is the perfect temperature for a Amontillado.
Yeah. So now we have to call it Montresor, right?
Yes, exactly.
Get a few casks on here, be perfect.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so just laying that out there. So as this scene breaks up, we get to see our coterie kind of disperse to the wind as the wolves of Westbrook go off to pursue whatever it is when they are not on the clock. Who wants to start?
I'm willing to go if nobody else is eager.
Sounds good, Tharsis.
So I think the first thing Tharsis has to do, because he's quite aggravated at what Nestor has told him, what Nestor has refused to do about what he has told him, and the cat, not to mention everything else that's been going on. So Tharsis needs to go and blow off a little steam and indulge himself.
Okay. What is your indulgence?
My indulgence is pleasure.
Pleasure. All right.
Yes.
So where's your usual like stomping ground? Like where do you
there
go?
is a place called the Flawless Pearl.
The Flawless Pearl.
Yes, and they cater to individuals of particularly specific tastes.
Fair enough.
Which I leave unspecified.
Absolutely.
Yep, and so he's just going to go out and make an evening of it.
Just carouse for a while, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You have friends at the Flawless Pearl, right?
Oh yeah, I'm a regular.
All right. So when you come in, they're happy to see you. Take your coat.
I think
have
so.
your favorite drink ready.
I mean, again, in a business like that, there's never any sureness of how genuine the friendship is. But they know me as a regular. I have a good reputation. I don't cause trouble.
Fair enough. Yeah. So it's a pleasant evening down at the Flawless Pearl. We need to make a indulgence roll. See how
we
it goes.
do. And as I was mentioning before we got started here, I am at 4 stress, which is the worst amount to.
That sounds like the most dangerous.
Yes,
but
exactly.
not the worst.
So either Brian or Sean, can we quickly talk about mechanically what's happening right now?
You want to take it, Brian?
Yeah, sure. So stress is a thing that we adapt over the course of the adventures as we try and get extra dice or otherwise exert effort to make things happen the way we want them to. And if you get too much stress in the game, you will develop scandal, which is no good for anyone. So one of the things each character has is a vice of some kind, or an indulgence, as they call it in Court of Blades. And between scenarios during downtime, one of the actions you can take is to reduce your stress. So basically, you roll whatever your weakest of the three main attributes, body, mind, or spirit, happens to be. Roll that many dice, take the highest number, reduce your stress by that amount. If you reduce more stress than you have overindulged in a variety of other odd and exciting and not terribly helpful things can happen.
But they're never boring.
That's true. That's true. Well, nothing in Ilrien is ever boring.
Wow. You can be anything but boring in Ilrien.
That's true. So as it happens, all three of my stats are 2 dice. So
Okay.
I'm 2 dice looking for the highest and hopefully not getting over a 4.
And the key is not you don't get to pick the die.
Nope, it is the highest die.
Right.
Yep. So let's see. That did not roll dice, which is what I expected it to. So I guess I'll
That's
just
okay.
roll 2d6. Oh, so close. Almost had it.
Okay.
Well, the good news is all my stress is gone.
So you've got choices at this point, right? Like there are a couple of mechanical things that we can do here. Either, in the midst of indulging, maybe you engage in a little bit of loose talk about, the aims of the house or what you've been doing that has you so tense. It might be that that I get to, bring a faction into play. Somebody who is angry or affronted or aggrieved, or maybe Tharsis gets lost and we have to see somebody else among the wolves of Westbrook this week.
Well,
for the next
I don't
turn.
think we're going to do that because I
Okay.
love Tharsis too much.
I do too.
One of the things I was looking at, because I knew this was a possibility.
Sure.
One of the possibilities for overindulging is introducing an additional entanglement.
Yep.
And one of the additional entanglements is a minor house asks a favor.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
So I was wondering, given the nature of his indulgence and the fact that the group has just made an impression, shall we say, what if the Signora, not personally, of course,
Oh no,
but someone
herself
representing herself,
herself.
were to ask a favor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we get that scene as you are buttoning up your coattails, right? As you're getting your coat back on, bidding adieu to the Flawless Pearl, or in the midst of trying to bid adieu to the Flawless Pearl.
Right.
The Signora, in all of her silk and all of her brocade, is seated at like the bar at the front of the Flawless Pearl, as if she's waiting. And you notice that there are some larger gentlemen that are barring the door. And she says, "Tharsis, would you sit with me?" And it's clearly
Right, yeah,
not
it's not a request. Yeah, exactly. And he, has that brief moment of deer in the headlights, and then he does a sweeping courtly bow and it says, "Of course," and takes the indicated seat.
Your favorite drink is waiting on a coaster beside her.
Okay.
What does Tharsis drink here?
Probably like a brandy.
A brandy? Yeah, it's a fine brandy. Like typically the sort of thing that you have to go down into the cellar to go get on special request, right? And it's been decanted and it's over beautifully like sawn, right, ice cubes.
Right.
And all of them are the exact same size, and like they have melted the exact right amount. Like she knew exactly when you were going to be out here. With like the delicacy and devotion of like the premier spy master in the city,
Right.
which she is.
Sure. So let me ask you this, just for purposes of setting the scene. I imagine that virtually everyone else in the building is very studiously doing something else right now.
If they're not studiously doing something else, and those are all the people that are in her employ, because the rest of the place is cleaned out. Like there are no patrons here.
Good, great.
Yeah, they are closed for business except for Tharsis right now, because the Signora is here and waiting. So she coquettishly opens a fan, fans herself, and says, "It is a tremendously hot night."
Indeed, I am grateful for the opportunity to spend a few moments of it with you.
Oh, aren't you the sweet one? Such a gallant. You come here often. Why is it always when things have gone wrong that you darken our doorway.
Darken. A more sensitive man would take offense at such a term, but I know it was surely not intended in that way. No, it
You're
is
not a
merely.
sensitive man.
Well, no, but appearances must be kept up,
I can play the coquette. Do not play with me.
as you wish.
Thank you.
When things have gone, I wouldn't say wrong, but been more interesting than expected, there are certain amounts of stress and tension which need to be worked out one way or another.
Absolutely. And we appreciate your patronage.
Indeed, and you have a most skilled staff.
We pride ourselves on it.
As well you might.
I mean, the problem down in the twist with the Brizolato gaming house. You were there.
Yes.
Apollo walked away.
Was that not your intent?
You have to know, Apollo and I, there is no love lost between us. Every season he tries to tighten his grip upon myself and my girls, and I will not have it.
Nor should you.
Good. We have an accord. It has to be stopped.
There was... I'm not sure how much of what happened at the gaming house you're aware of, but I imagine most of it by this time.
You had a shot.
I did. And given the array of forces on either side of that particular conflict, our judgment at the time was that Apollo was the better party to back.
Tharsis, I understand entirely. You were wise in your targeting. I understand that there were forces at play. I'm just saying that if you happen to have a shot again, perhaps you shoot wide. And tell him it came from me. Too blunt?
He is a no, not at all, not at all. I will simply say that he is a very cautious man and likely to be more so for the immediate future.
Of course, but you have a good mark in his ledger. I'm sure you could get close. Or your brother.
Oh, no doubt. It's just we must,
you look so much
as
alike.
always, be careful of the repercussions.
But you look so much alike.
It's true.
Don't you think maybe... No, of course not. I would never put you in such a position.
The role of coquette can only last so far. Please tell me what you're thinking. I do not have the ability to read you so completely as you can apparently read others.
That's fair. That's fair. And you can't afford my artifice.
Hmm.
I don't need you to kill Apollo. I just need you to let him know that we will not be pushed and that we can be anywhere. The same as he. He's given me to understand on numerous occasions that he has agents that he can worm his way into my organization. I just want to return the favor, and I want you to be my asset. Be my knife. Just slip it between the bottom two ribs. Not between the second and third, but just under. Just tickle the diaphragm a little bit. Let him know that perhaps we won't roll over as easy as he believes we will. You can do that for me, right? I'd be ever so grateful.
I will certainly convey your message. I cannot guarantee that it will be conveyed in the exact way that you describe. Opportunities are highly variable, but I
There
will
has to be blood.
make your position clear.
There has to be blood. Blood is compulsory. He doesn't understand ink. I've sent letters. I'm going to write a message one way or another so that he cannot fail to read it.
As you wish.
It sounds sweet when you say it one more time, please.
As you wish, dear lady.
Let him go. And like the guards, step aside from the doorway, and she's like,
Okay.
we thank you for your custom. And, again,
Yeah, I just drain the brandy, which I probably haven't even tasted yet, and head out the door.
okay. So I'm going to let you know that added to your season's, codex, basically your dossier is make a show for Apollo Brizzolato in blood. Otherwise, if this one doesn't get done, like this one doesn't go for advancement of the coterie or the house in the great game of Ilrien, this is purely to not get a -2 reputation.
Preventing further problems.
Mm-hmm. A -2 reputation with the
Senor.
the Senora. Thank you, the Senora herself.
Cool. That was great.
So now that you're all de-stressed,
Do we want to rotate around and get everybody their first one?
Let's see what else is going on. Who else is going to get in trouble?
I mean, everyone.
Well,
I
yeah.
can go next.
You can go next. Okay. Tell me
Yeah,
what you're doing,
Nestor's
Nestor.
got to blow some stress as well, but he doesn't go into the seedy places. He likes
the
finding
roses.
Seedy?
rooms.
The roses are nice.
Yeah. Well, apparently it's very dangerous.
Can be.
So Nestor likes fine perfumes,
Ooh, okay.
but he can't afford fine perfumes, so he buys fine knockoff perfumes.
Excellent.
And
Who's
it's
your
probably-
purveyor?
It's a fellow down at the Twist
Oh, okay.
who's just known as the Scent. He doesn't
The scent. I like
doesn't
that.
like names. He feels like they're a little showy.
I love
So
that.
he just
So
goes by
you're
public
going. So you're going to the Twist to talk to a counterfeiter, but you're not going anywhere seedy.
Anywhere
No.
seedy.
Exactly.
Look, this is where I'm comfortable. I don't like these fancy places. Ugh.
Why do I have an image that he also has a huge collection of DVD movies you can buy?
They're all
There's some
beautifully
incense,
by
you
hand.
know.
Yeah.
Yep. No, this is a stereotypical head shop, right? Okay. So can we go there? Like, what does this place look like from the street, right? Or the alley? Like, is this a walk up, or is this a? Ooh, got dark all of a sudden. Is this a like one of the places that you have to like step down the stairs down
Oh, it's
underneath?
definitely down the stairs.
I love it.
The sign says something like vintage scrolls or something like that.
I like that. Okay.
And
Fronties, a tradition of legitimacy.
and yeah, Nestor just walks in like he owns the place,
Awesome.
wearing full house garb.
Oh wow. Okay.
Like,
Okay.
boys, I've had a good week. Show me
All
the
right.
goods.
Awesome. And I mean, like, letters of credit from the house, obviously. Like, you are a retained individual. Like, you are somebody who can, afford to throw some coin around, and like they know that, right?
Mhm.
So the scent, when we get an image of the scent, what does the scent look like? Which is a
He's-
weird sentence to say.
He's a tall, skinny dude, like 6'6" and just rail thin.
Whoa. Okay.
And he looks like one of those people that if you don't go anywhere alone with him. You go into his shop, you're okay because everyone knows that's his shop. If something happened, that's fine. But you're not going to another location with him. He's just a little too like grossly slick.
Okay. So like a huckster almost, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So like when he sees you come in, like he washes his hands in front of him and he's like, "Oh, Nestor. Oh, Nestor, you would not believe what just came off the ships, my friend. The things that I have for you this time. What are you hoping for? Something woodsy, something primeval. I'm feeling maybe something with just a little bit of like a lilac, maybe.
Sorry about that. My phone just started playing the sounds through
That's
it.
okay.
I think. Sorry about that. My phone just started playing the sounds.
That is the problem with having a Mac. You never know how the magical side effects will take effect.
Let's go ahead and close. Can we close it?
It's dead. I thought it was dead, but it keeps coming back. I'll be right back. I'm throwing this in another room.
What are we doing?
Out the window.
Okay.
I don't even want this thing.
He just overindulged.
Just call it.
Problem solved.
All right, cool.
I have no idea. The phone was. I thought the phone was off at that point, and then I
It's
just
so weird to hear
Fey
my own
phone.
voice in
You're
my
so
head.
strong, Sean.
That was power.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm looking for, though.
Tell
I'm
me,
looking
Nestor,
for
tell me
something
what I can get you.
floral. Make me fancy. I was
Floral?
around.
Oh,
I was
Oh, I got
around
something.
grit this weekend, and
Oh.
I need to feel pretty.
it's coming off you. I can smell it. Yeah, blood and treachery, huh? Yeah, we gotta put something over that.
Yeah.
right? And like he goes into the back and he starts pulling out, and like just like a sommelier, right? Like he's, no, you're not gonna do the periwinkle this time, no. And like he goes through, he's like, jasmine and honeysuckle, from far off Altor. You're gonna like this one. I can feel it, Nestor. You're gonna like this one, right? And like he calls you in. I see like a booth, right, where he can like douse you, and you won't get any like outside like scents. So it's just purely what he puts into the chamber. He's like,
Nice.
step in. You gotta try this.
Nestor imitates exactly what he's seen fancier members of the house do with the perfumes too.
Okay.
He is just walk through
Yeah.
and let it coat.
Linger.
Yeah. And he's loving this. This is
Okay.
just getting the chance to do this is what he thought fancy people do when he was in school and stuff.
Fair enough. So we're feeling pretty. Let's see that indulgence roll.
I
How
only
much
have
stress
one
do you have?
die. I have 6 die. I have 6 stress, but I have 1 die in body. So we're
So
rolling
you're
1
safe in this scenario, right, Nathan? Because the highest
yeah.
you could roll is a 6.
Die.
You're not going to pull what we call pulling a Brian.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it's a problem for all of
That's
you.
a good roll too. That's a 5.
Nice. So you'll have 1 left over, right?
Yep.
So the lilac and the honeysuckle and the very luxurious like skin adhering perfume that you get from the scent. Like, does it ease your troubles, or is it like
Mostly
going out on the
does.
town and like rubbing it in to all the lesser folks?
But being counterfeit, it's got a slight hint of iron. It
Ooh,
reminds me of the blood from the fight.
Yep.
And that's why I've still got a little stress left.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's an undertone there that is just, and that's the scent just through and through, right? Because it's like, oh yeah, it's honeysuckle and jasmine and whatever I scraped up out of the. Yeah. No, it's honeysuckle and jasmine, right?
So here's a question for you, Nestor.
Mm-hmm.
Does he know about your little fate problem? Because you're smelling iron. Did he put something in there?
It's a shame you couldn't make the show today, Donald.
Yeah, that's great help you're making.
Go ahead and put that in the rack over there. Yeah, so some kind of faint iron tinge, maybe like
Really good.
bezoar.
Oh God, my allergies.
All right, cool. Who's next?
Donald, I'm good with you going next if you'd like.
Okay, so I actually do have a question
I love questions.
because it actually possibly 2. First question is we started with 2 influence at character generation, correct?
Correct. Mhm.
Okay, cool. Second question is, Craig, the conversation we had, I know pre-show, I talked about doing a long-term project, which was the setting up the appointment. Were you trying to work on that long-term project, or were you trying to help me heal my social harm?
So I want to help with the harm,
Okay.
Which I think ties together, right?
I agree. And that's
so-
kind of
And what I was hoping to do is free you up. So
Okay.
I'm in a situation. This is totally meta right now.
Yeah.
I'm in a
That's okay, that's
situation
what this is for.
where I've got my stress is fine, so I don't need to do that. I'm
Yeah.
not too worried about our exposure is fine. So I, in my mind, let me free that up, because I think Tristane could get more use out of both of your downtime actions if I took one of them from you.
Yeah, and that's fine. And that's why I was asking, was because of trying to figure out. So why don't you go ahead and go first and do that one?
Great.
Because that may tie into mine.
So Sean, in my mind, I would want to connect with, I don't know if it's going to be like a minister for Apollo or a secretary for Apollo, but somebody who's in charge of Apollo's schedule.
Sure.
And they could be an eye, they may not be an eye, I'm not sure, but somebody in Apollo's house that I have a connection with and would be, and I want to get time with that person.
So this is somebody that you have planted beforehand, somebody that you've made contact with, and somebody that.
Yeah, definitely not a plant, but somebody that we've shared a drink.
Okay.
Right.
Somebody that you've had some time to get to know, and maybe they don't even know that like you're under the auspices of anybody else. It's just a acquaintance. It's not one of your particular contacts, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. I could see that. Can I get you to make a fortune roll?
Of course.
So just a 1 die fortune roll, and we'll see like what this person has, how up the rank structure, and how much of Apollo's ear they have, right?
So when a GM calls for a fortune roll, what's happening mechanically, and why do you do that?
So this is where I declaim decision making, because I could unilaterally say, yes, you know this, but sometimes it's interesting. There's something to be said for, keeping the fiction, giving a little whiff of that like scary randomness, which is always fun at the table. This isn't going to, be a yes or no. This is a how much or to what extent, right? So a fortune roll at this case is kind of a way to randomize outcomes while also making it easy to build a consensus that feels fair and interesting to everybody at the table.
Perfect. All right. So 1d6. Phenomenal.
Awesome. Okay. So here is what I can give you. You do know somebody in Apollo's rank structure, somebody who has perfect access to Apollo's schedule, oversees a goodly bit of his social calendar. It's his daughter, Letitia. So Apollo's daughter, Letitia, is not a close personal friend, but like if you showed up, she'd be like, oh yeah, you from the thing, right? But I should tell you that Letitia wears, iron shod boots, and like they were a gift and from her father. So the next time she had to kick a man, it would hurt. Apollo dotes on Letitia. Letitia is dangerous. So when you go to make contact with Letitia and speak of favors and things like that, that's who you have an in with.
So I would like to bump into Letitia. Okay. So I have got the word out that when we know Letitia is going to be relaxing somewhere, and I'm to know about this. Sure.
Yeah. Letitia goes out and like tosses down amberjack at some of the local pubs every so often, and she like shakes down shopkeepers on behalf of her father, and she does gangster daughter stuff, right? So like, paint me a scene here. Like when you make contact, is it while she's at work or at play?
I think it's at play right after work.
Oh, okay. She's blowing off steam.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And if it's all right, what I would love to see happen is she does this all by herself, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And
I think similar to bodyguards the slip.
Yeah, and similar to what we saw really in episode 1 with Tharsis.
Mm-hmm.
She's sitting in the corner.
Yeah.
And the drink is delivered.
Yep.
And maybe she looks to her left, and by the time she looks to her right, I'm sitting with her.
Oh. I love that. Yeah, she's got like one arm kind of like lazily cocked around like the booth she's in, and she's going to pick up her drink, and she looks over. She's, you creep about.
It's the only way I can get close to you, my dear.
Oh, Godfrey. You wouldn't believe the day. And like, she takes a sip and it's measured and like it's not getting better.
Did you hear about the fighting pit?
That wasn't you, was it?
I was there. Of course, and so was your father. I'd like to know where your father is, Letitia, and I'd like to know whether we can extend our help beyond what we did.
And like it just like her eyes like hood, right? Like, and it's like halfway between like, ooh, you have my interest, and also like the come to bed eyes. Like he's like, you want to come work for me, Godfrey?
Work for you, sir, is a strong phrase. That's a strong face. Speaking of strong, and I'm going to take her drink and I'm going to smell it and I'm going to go, oh dear, this is no way to shake this off. I'm going to put it down and I'll reach into my jacket and pull out essentially a small little snuff case.
Ooh, okay.
And I'll slide it over to her and I go, give that a try for me. Tell me if that relaxes things.
What is this? Because like she is on it, but I want to know what this is.
It's definitely a narcotic.
Sure.
And I'm thinking something along the lines of a morphine type relaxant, right?
Okay.
So what I would love for her to do is I don't want her high. What I want her is,
yeah, right, exactly. And I think like she's not like new to any of this, right? Because like the Brizzolatos traffic in all manner of things, and Letitia knows her trade. So like when she opens the snuff case, like with practiced ease, right? She grabs up. And like there's a sigh, and like her shoulders like relax because she holds them up here almost like earrings, right? Like just cat like readiness, and there's like a crack, right? as she like unclenches. Right, the source of my pain. Okay, not working for me, not working for Daddy. Don't be boring. Don't say you want to work for Daddy and you don't want to work for me.
I don't. What I wanted to do is help.
Okay.
So you are by far the most effective person for your father.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
But Letitia, there are things that I think your father might need that we would not want your hands sullied with. I have come across a minor boy, a boy of many talents, who is hungry and would be willing to do things that would shame you, not if you got caught, but just by doing it. And all I ask is 5 minutes of your father's time, a chance to meet this boy. I will have the boy accompanied with somebody he trusts, like Tristane, and just 5 minutes for him to evaluate and see if he has use for him. And any help you could give me on his schedule, 5 minutes.
She leans forward over the table and like kind of folds her hands, like tense her fingers for a second, and like presses them against her lips. She grabs a little compact of snuff and she tucks it into her belt, and she says, "We can find 5 minutes. He's busy. He's not that busy. Who's the boy? Do I know him?"
You don't. In fact, part of the beauty of this boy, nobody knows him. And let's be honest, Letitia, I'm speaking like this is for your father, but he's going to end up being
My boy.
a very useful tool for you. Exactly.
No, in that case, I really risk nothing, right? If I don't like him, I gut him and I leave him in a gutter.
Exactly, and no one would miss him.
Who's he to you?
Full disclosure.
I like full disclosure.
A close friend of mine, Tristane. Your father has spoken of him before.
Mm-hmm.
Your father's view of him is very important to him. He honors your father. He looks up to your father. And an opportunity to give to your father would bring Tristane great joy. And as a friend of mine, bringing him great joy brings me joy. So it's a win for everybody.
I feel like this might be an action roll of some kind.
I think so.
Yeah, this feels like an action roll because, like, Letitia sees strings.
Yeah,
right.
She's no fool.
No.
All right, what are we thinking here? Let's see here. So for those of you watching, this is part of the Forge in the Dark conversation, right? So Sean, as the GM, has asked for an action roll. I'm going to now look for an action, and then Sean is going to evaluate that action and give me a sense of what I'm dealing with here.
Right. What you can hope for and what you risk.
Yeah.
Right?
So I'm trying to sway her to not ignore the fact that she knows I'm not doing this out of magnanimous.
The kindness of your heart. Yeah.
Right. She knows that there's something in it for me.
You know enough of each other.
Exactly. So I think I'm trying to sway her enough that she will allow it to occur, but not be naive. She's not naive to it.
Right. Now, my question here is, do you think that you two are equals? Like, do you think
I think we're equals. She does not see me as an equal.
Yeah. So sway feels like it's probably the right thing to be using here, right? Because we're influencing with guile and charm and subterfuge, and trying to show her the logic of this. Sway feels like the perfect one. I think this is controlled to start. She's at ease, and the worst that could happen is she's like, wait, right, where you might have to try a different tack rather than like immediately, oh no, now we're in trouble. So controlled, and I think standard. I think you're asking for 5 minutes of her father's time, and the worst that happens is she gets a scolding, right? So yeah, controlled standard.
I got my 4.
Okay. So I think she says, all right, I can get you 5 minutes. 5 minutes isn't so much, and I can see the strings, but I don't think they lead anywhere dangerous.
They don't lead to you, Letitia. They're next to you. They're around you. They don't touch you.
Like a spider. I could climb around him all day, but I won't get stuck.
Exactly.
And she, reaches back into that little compact and, okay, this afternoon.
You say when and where?
And she does, right? Like she gives you a time, and you guys can get Blair an interview. Right.
Perfect. And then if you'd like, for the actual downtime action, what I'd love to do, Sean, is, and you tell me how long this clock is, but I want to configure this situation to make Blair the obvious choice. So if that is to sully somebody who's been doing Blair type work for Apollo, so Apollo suddenly realizes that Jim is worthless to him now, whoever's in his ear. So I want to turn some knobs, cash in and create some favors to try to optimize and put this into place.
Sure. I think that if you wanted to cash in your favor with the Brizzolato, you could just make it happen.
Sold.
We can get Blair a job for Apollo Brizzolato. He is now in the organization.
Perfect.
It's been that favor now because we may not have it for very long.
Right.
Use it or lose it, right?
Yeah. So it would have been a 4-part clock, but I think that a favor in the organization and spending a downtime to do the thing, absolutely we can get perfect.
Okay, so would that reduce my social harm to level 1 then?
Yes.
Level 2? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds
mechanically.
Yeah, and my goal in that, and the reason I think that Tristana does lower that for you, is my goal is I'm behind the scenes in all of this. This
Right.
is for me. It's Tristane bringing this to Apollo.
Exactly. Exactly. Like this is not you just guarding his back there during the everything. Like you're bringing talent to him, and you're, oh, this is somebody that I know, and Blair is going to speak about Tristane and how like they used to run in the glory days and everything, and like it's going to make Apollo like, I don't know, maybe I misjudged this guy over time, right? So I think that brings it down to level 1, and it can go away before the next.
Okay. Perfect.
Good downtime.
Okay. So I am actually looking at using a special thing that is in Court of Blades that isn't in Other Forged Dark.
Okay.
Craig has already kind of mentioned this in passing, but Court of Blades includes a romance piece where you can acquire a paramour.
Yeah.
So
Who does
So for my first downtime action, which will actually lead into my second downtime action,
Sure.
I want to reach out to Rotsam, who was the bodyguard that I obviously got off on the wrong foot with.
A little bit.
And so I'm just going to go ahead and do both of mine since they kind of tie together.
Sure.
My second one is indulgence, which is luxury.
Okay.
So pull it back up. I want to get a reservation at. Sorry, I've been jumping around in the book, and so I'm trying to. The restaurant that's in the guild.
Ooh. Okay.
L'Atelier.
Yeah, Tillier.
And
okay.
invite him to join me to start the Paramore clock and use that this magnificent dinner as my luxury downtime action for
That's cool.
my stress, my dungeons.
That's very cool. Let's go ahead and do the indulgence first. Let's see how the meal treats you.
Sure.
And then we can talk about the paramour action here.
Okay. So I've got one die in mind and 2 in the other 2.
Okay.
So I'll roll my mind.
Yep. Bloop.
It may have double rolled because I wasn't looking. So, okay. So the first one was a 6, and I had 4 stress.
Had 4 stress. Okay.
So I also overindulged.
This is why we ask, right?
It's a family. It's a family.
It's a family tradition.
It is a familial weakness here, is what I'm saying. Yeah. Okay. So like Rostam graciously accepts, right? Because otherwise it would be, gauche, right?
Yeah.
Like we can at least be friends, right? So when Rostam arrives at La Cillière, like, do you kind of paint me a scene here? Like, what does this meeting look like? Is this like you in like an alcove? Is this like you out on the dining room? Is this a private thing?
I'm thinking it's probably going to be more of an alcove.
Okay.
Because this is Tristane is not trying to make a big deal out of this because he's trying to make a connection with the person.
Right.
And so 1, he wants to focus on the person.
Mm-hmm.
2, which kind of leads into I was already prepping for because I had 4 as well. He's actually a little worried that the other clientele might see Rotsam as a little bit lower than the traditional clientele, shall we say?
Fair, yeah.
And so he's trying to minimize that to keep Rotsam at ease. Because if we were out in the middle, then he's a bodyguard. He would pick up on that stress.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think this is not just a private alcove. I think this is like the chef's alcove, and you guys are getting like the tasting menu, right? So like dishes are coming out, and Rostam is like sitting here, and you're right. Like Rostam has that carefully tuned like bodyguard sense.
Yeah.
Where like it is second maybe only to an eye, and like he's sizing up your body language and everything, and sort of trying to get the finger on the pulse of like, I think like eventually, right about the time like the braised sea skate comes out, he like leans across the table and he's got his like glass of a Maurish white wine, and he leans over and he's like, Tristan, what is this?
I don't know. We got off on the wrong foot, but there seemed to be some kind of energy, maybe. And at the very least, clearly someone of your statue, close to the prince and everything, is a person I do not wish to upset, at the minimum.
Are you trying to make amends with me, Tristan?
Make amends and then possibly even start a friendship. And
are you hoping that small trifles and a glass of good wine will make me forget that our houses both wish to be first?
Forget's a strong word. I mean, obviously, there will be times where we will be forced by our houses to do things that we may not prefer to do. But then there may also be times that our houses decide to work together. Would it not be better to have individuals who you already know well, so that when those happen, you can help your house better interface with a friendly house?
It's just like, I understand the strategy, the grand plan that could come of that, yes. But I also know well to beware when a house extends a hand in friendship, to check the wrist for a dagger.
My hands are free. This is not my house extending to your house. This is me extending to you.
So we are just people here.
Yes, two people. You can see I am not wearing my house blade. I am not wearing my house colors. I am just wearing my outfit.
This is just you. This is Tristan come to make an overture of peace to Rostam.
Yes.
There's no war between us, Tristan. You don't have to. You do not owe me this perfectly adequate sea skate.
Perfectly adequate.
This is not a... Okay, so to be honest, this is not a pure overture of concern.
Oh, okay.
I mean, how do I say this? I'm sorry, I'm not the I prefer action over words.
I do too. That's why, if you have an action, perhaps we can roll it.
Fourth wall, it is broken.
So do we have a clock for this real quick? How does this work mechanically?
So mechanically, acquiring a paramour starts at a 6-part clock. I think that Rostam, being like in a very, very similar like strata, but like a differing house, I would probably put it at 4, because things can go very good or very bad very quickly. So let's do a 4-part clock for acquiring a paramour, Rostam.
Cool. This is, of course, is going to be loads of fun, because I would prefer to use consort, because I actually have a dying consort.
Fair, yeah.
And I do not have any in sway. But this feels like it's designed. It's a clock. It's designed to be a long-term thing, not a.
It is. Yeah. This isn't a consequence thing here. This is purely a how far do we get?
Right. So.
Nice.
Okay.
Cool.
So that takes two ticks on the clock here.
Cool.
Which means that like Rostam is like coming around by the time dessert is served, right?
Yeah.
But you've got an overindulgence here. So like either there is something that happens where we lose access to La Tillière, or we maybe spill something to Rostam that we shouldn't, or maybe we get a paramour entanglement here.
Possibly. And so that was so to be honest, part of the reason I picked here was the public figure.
Fair.
Because one of my thoughts was lose access to Latier as an indulgence, because I'm bringing someone who is underclassed for this
Sure.
location.
Yeah.
The other one is the public figure that's actually listed for the guilt is Samala, head chef of Latier. It's cutthroat, always managing to get the first and best pick of everything. No one's really sure how.
Yep.
And so I was thinking about possibly an entanglement of, his wait staff noticing, why are these two houses talking to each other, taking it the original way, and now it's kind of people would pay for this. How can the magic house maybe help me get, I don't know, like some magic spices or something?
Yep.
Some kind of food stuff that we normally wouldn't have access to.
So I'm gonna start a rumor, is what it's gonna be.
Sure.
Like the information that like House Almari and House Corvetto are pursuing a deeper relation is going to start getting around, and I'm going to make this difficult on the next errand. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that knife.
Okay, cool. So I did notice one of the things was add +2 to exposure.
That's the one.
So I will go ahead and mark that on House
you.
Corvetto. So now we are up to 6 exposure instead of 4. So, and I will remind people that one of the downtime activities is reducing exposure.
I'll do that for my second. How do we feel about taking a quick 10-minute break, and then we'll do our second ones?
Let's do that. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Beautiful. We'll be right back. All right. So three of us have gotten our first downtime action done. We get 2 for free. Tristain just blows through 2 of them all at once. So who's up next?
Who wants to go next? Who else wants to change the world?
Well, I should probably talk to these folks about my current situation.
Okay. Pitch me the same. Is this back in the cistern?
Yeah, I think so. I imagine we, sort of check in there periodically just to see how things are going on.
Okay.
Right, cat.
Yeah, the cat.
Yeah,
Of course you are.
Gotta go feed the cat.
Gentlemen, Nestor, I believe I have a dilemma. I have recently been contacted by the Signora herself, and she has expressed an interest in having a discouraging message passed on to Apollo Brizzolato. And as you can imagine, this could not come at a less convenient time. I do not want to damage all of the good work that we have put in to get on the Brizzolato's right side. But at the same time, as you're well aware, the Signora is not the sort of woman one should disappoint whenever possible. So I wanted to discuss with you how we might have a possibility of delivering a non-lethal but pointed message to Apollo without ruining our reputation with them too much.
So when you said this was complicated and not ideal, you could not have been more accurate, my friend. So 2 things. One, it has to happen after 11, not before. There's a meeting that Tristain is to have that can't be touched. Second, Tharsis, you're so skilled. So good at what you do.
I mean, I can do it, but
can you do it and make it clear to Apollo who sent the message, not who delivered it?
That is my intent, yes. But it is difficult to determine exactly where Apollo will be at any given time.
Oh, I trust me. I can make sure that you know where he is at any given point in time. That's not
Really?
the challenge. That's not the challenge, Tharsis. The challenge is how are you going to deliver the message without being the messenger?
Oh, I intend to be the messenger. This is not the sort of thing one can trust to an amateur. But I intend to do it from some distance.
You let me know if you need my help.
Well, if you have some sort of insight into Apollo's social calendar, that will be a tremendous assistance.
How bad could be just ignoring her?
Oh, you just hear a huge just
Yeah, exactly.
sigh from Godfrey.
That is
The cat's looking at you like askance, right?
How can I put this? Oh wait, you're too young to understand the concept.
that's not an option. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Let's just say, if there's a secret you don't want her to know, she found about it last Tuesday. And
Tarsus has been talking.
Not about any of that.
Good. Okay.
Although I think it's still a conversation we should have.
That shuts me up right away. Just-
So let me ask you this, Sean. Assuming we're trying to set something up where we can get an opportunity for me to take a nice long-range crossbow shot with a nicely telegraphed message around the quarrel kind of thing. Would you want to do that as like a long-term project? Would that be an errand unto itself?
I love it as our next errand.
Yeah,
So I'm just
it
going
would
to
be-
put that out there. I'm not saying that it has to
Okay.
be, but I love that idea.
Yeah, we
Because
can.
I think we all
turn-
could participate in that.
Sure. I'm down with that. I just want to see if everybody's into it. I'm happy to do that thing.
oh, Tristan's trying to figure out how to put in like a bouquet of sullied roses
Ooh.
as you know, as the message.
So yeah, that is something we could absolutely deal with as an errand, or we
Okay.
could do it as just a downtime action where we could set up the thing, or we could acquire an asset, find somebody to do the thing in your stead. Like there are many ways that we could do this. It's just how much screen time we want to give this.
I'm not going to turn that over to somebody else. If you guys are into doing it as an errand, then I'm totally down with that.
Okay.
If
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't interest you, we can move on. Okay.
Oh,
All right, cool.
no, that's
It is technically my fault.
Yeah.
All right. So if we're going to
You know,
leave that
that's
for
what
an errand, then my next thing is going to be compensating for something very mean Sean did.
Okay.
When I had my rival set up as Lucius,
Mhm.
my assumption was that he would be a tough, watchful, grizzled, hard as nails street sergeant, and you went and made him hapless. So now Brian feels sorry for him.
Okay, fair enough.
Tharsis doesn't believe in feeling sorry for people, but he still needs he still needs to hold on to that connection.
Sure.
So I'm going to try working on what I think might be a long-term project to try and figure out what's going on with this mysterious burglar
Yeah.
at in the spire or the spindle.
Sure. The spindle, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, Brian is pretty sure that the Fey fellow we met in our gondola was actually following Lucius and is probably connected to all this thing, but Tharsis has no idea about any of that.
Sure.
So he's just going to start observing and laying in wait and seeing what he can find.
Yeah. So long-term projects like this, I feel like cracking the case and figuring out who is to blame is probably a 4-part clock. Fixing it is
Okay.
probably an additional linked clock,
Okay.
or an errand.
Right.
Um,
And there are 3 errands in a season in general?
There are 3 errands in a season, and then time passes and things happen.
Right. I mean, that was one of the other things that the house wanted. So,
Yep.
I mean, I don't want to like set our agenda for all these errands. I don't know if anybody else in the team has a particular thing they have in mind to do as an errand.
In downtime, the next downtime we do, there might be another one that arises. This is
Sure.
constantly
Yeah.
we never have enough
Spinning
errands
plates.
to do everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Then yeah, let's go ahead and make this a 6-part clock, and I will try to deal with it myself.
Okay, fair enough. So a 6-part clock here.
Mhm.
Tell me what it is that you're doing to run down this lead.
I think at least initially, since I've gotten whatever data dump I got from Lucius on
Mm.
what's been going on, who's been up, that thing. I think I mostly want to try and sort of set up a stakeout
Oh,
somewhere
okay.
at or near the spindle and just sort of observe the comings and goings and see what I see.
Interesting.
If there are any reports of things going missing in an area where I was, then if I didn't see anything, that in itself tells me something. So I'm thinking it might be kind of a hunt situation, since I'm sort of staking out a situation and waiting
See
for
hunt
prey.
here. Yeah, you're looking for your quarry, right? And
Right,
like
exactly.
observing movements and carefully tracking is kind of the watchword here. That sounds right. I
Okay.
can see a hunt here.
All right. Then, and since it's just progress on a clock, we don't need to worry about the
No
other
position, no effect.
shenanigans. So, okay. So I'm just going to roll my 2 hunt dice.
Okay.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Oh,
So there's
Jack
5
to the
ticks.
pot.
5 ticks, right?
wow.
So
I think I know who it is now. We just need to figure out how to deal with him.
So what you end up finding here
Mhm.
as you are staking out locations is that the spindle is overrun with these cats. Like there are just a hilarious number of cats, and you've never seen the spindle overrun with cats before, like a mouser or a few maybe moving through the streets. But every time there is a house that comes under threat, right, of burglary. Something goes wrong, something is missing. It's just like there's always a cat that is nearby that is just like watching the house, right? The cats aren't doing it. Like you're let's be clear on that. What is doing it is the odd woman who is always coming out of these places, and nobody seems to see her but you. Like their eyes like gloss over where she is, and you'll see like men with partisans and bill hooks and whatnot coming out, and like they must be stopped, or whatever. And the watch comes every time, and Lucius, grizzled old street monster that he is like doing the Lestrade, right? Like looking around, like there's nothing for me to go on here. What was taken, and like writing down the notes very very aggrieved. Making all the appropriate yes, no, we'll get right on that noises, but still, these cats, and it's always like there's 3 or 4 of them before a house is knocked over, and there's always one watching for hours afterward.
Great.
Why does every one of your downtime actions end with you going great?
Because Sean, that's why. To be clear, Brian loves it. Tharsis is not so much a fan. All right. Well, I'll hang on to that and see when we can find a way to finish this off.
All right. So, who else has a second downtime? And remember that you can spend influence for third downtimes as well.
I think I have an intrigue I'm going to dive in on.
Can we, before we dive into that, I want to talk about mechanically, Sean, what is an intrigue? Because this is unique.
So intrigues are like long-term clocks in that they are a long-term clock that is running as racing clocks. When you do an intrigue, you are doing it against somebody. There is always a consequence. So long-term clocks, we just did one with Brian, and Brian rolled dice with no position, no effect, just progress, right? You roll intrigues with position and effect because you are being either actively or passively, like your situation is always changing. So when you do an intrigue, you're trying to change something large about the setting or the faction game. You're trying to outmaneuver and outplay somebody to achieve a desired effect, and that puts you at risk. And there's kind of a call and response, like a patter that goes back and forth between GM and player as we define what this intrigue is. And much like any other engagement role, we talk about what we stand to gain and what we risk in so doing. So please, Nathan, Tell me.
Oh, I'm gonna ruin our whole situation with this one.
Fantastic.
Good.
So-
It's not all going to be me.
So Nestor knows that the Winter Court are operating somewhat in Ilrien, even if he has no idea why.
Sure.
He wants to turn that to the house's advantage in the Great Game.
Interesting. Okay. So my first part of this is who or what is the target of your intrigue? What do you mean to do? And what are you risking?
I want to turn the house of the Winter Court against probably the house right above us.
Okay.
I mean to do that by leveraging the current relationship I've developed with the Fae I've met so far.
Interesting.
And I am risking that they find me presumptuous and in need of punishment.
Fair. Okay. So this is purely a personal intrigue, right?
Yes.
Like if this blows back, it's going to blow back on you, which means that there's nobody to defray this, right?
Yes.
This is purely you getting in over your head with the Winter Court.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Now you've got a question for me, right?
Yes. How long will this take, and who else do I need to involve?
Perfect. So this is where I get to post a difficult question to you. I pose a difficult question to you. You can do this the quick way, or you can do this the smart way. If you do this the quick way, it's a 4-part clock. If you do this the smart way, it's a 6-part clock. Now, if you do this the quick way, you go to Nadia. If you do this the smart way, you probably have to go to Owen.
I'm probably going to Owen. I think if it wasn't Nadia, I don't think I can go to Nadia without Godfrey noticing.
That's fair.
And I don't want Godfrey to know that I'm messing with things I probably shouldn't.
Okay. So now I get to ask you, what special pains are you going to take to keep this intrigue secret?
This is me going. I think the main thing is me going to Owen and promising him that Sarum's name won't leave my mouth about the locked boxes.
Okay.
And I think that's really it. I think in terms of on the Fae side, I'm a little wide open on this one.
That's fair. Okay. So as far as special pains you're taking here is you are offering a favor in your own way to the Skolem at large, right? Okay. Now you have another question for me.
Yes. Who else am I defying by committing to this course, and what kind of collateral damage might result?
You are, defying the will of the Winter Court, right? Like this is clearly a thing where the Winter Court is like at worst like going to find you presumptuous, and they can make your life all kinds of interesting as a knack. You're in over your head, right? I think the one that maybe you're not, immediately thinking of is there is a particular like school in the Skolem, which are the alienists, right? The ones that deal with summoning and contact with these otherworldly entities. And I think that if you damage relations between the Winter Court and basically you are a knack treating with the court on behalf of other knacks, right? So I think what you risk here, the kind of collateral damage that can happen is that the school of alienists will probably censure you in a way that maybe you weren't prepared for.
I love that because Nestor definitely did not take their courses.
No, I didn't imagine so. Yeah. You would have been way smarter about fairy stuff.
Realize this is a problem.
Okay. So with that being said, like knowing that the Skolem Naturalis needing to rope in your foil, Owen, and knowing that this is a thing that like you're undertaking on your own, like nobody's going to come and help you, right? Aside from Owen, who probably, that's a fraught relationship.
Owen might send me in just to see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, I kind of. Yep. Delicious. Uh, okay. So tell me what this looks like as you begin this intrigue. So when you talk to Owen, do you go and like seek Owen's counsel, or are you like trying to be circumspect about this? I think what you need is Owen's knowledge.
I think what this looks like is me trying to sneak into Owen's office.
Love it. Okay.
Because I'm not a student there anymore. I probably shouldn't be there. So for me to have that conversation, I've got to get myself in there. And I think that's going to be the tricky part.
Okay. Like, so as we kind of frame this scene here, like, are you hoping that you can get Owen alone and get a word in, or are you like pilfering knowledge from Owen here?
I'm trying to check his notes.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is pure infiltration. We are trying to. Okay.
We are skulking our way through.
You're skulking. Okay, that's absolutely the action rating for this. I think that we are looking at a risky position to start. The Scala Naturalis is a tier 3 organization. We are tier 2, which means that we begin limited.
Got a lady's favor?
I think you will notice the cat after you're done.
I love that. I love this cat. So
taking that lady's favor does what for you?
That'll give you an extra die, or you can
change an extra die, which I'm going to exchange for effect.
Okay.
To get me up to a standard effect. I only roll 1 die on skulk, and I don't think I'm going to push on this.
Okay.
Now let me ask: when you receive the assistance of a contact, you can get a plus die on that, but I'm stealing from my contact, so I don't.
You're actively not seeking the help of a contact.
Okay. I figured that was the case, but I figured I'd ask. So I think it's just the 1 die, and we're gonna see how it goes. Oh, badly.
Well.
Okay. So it's going great. Like you get into the grounds. You're going up familiar hallways. You're seeing the parts of the Skolum that, like, until recently you had been staying here and studying here. This was all like your world, right? It is almost like it puts you off your edge, right? To be somewhere so familiar and yet be an intruder. It's like breaking into your own home, right? Like, every squeaky stair, but also like it's never mattered before. So there's a lot of like stepping and like, oh, right, damn. But I think you make your way to Owen's office, and you've got his notebook in your hand when he enters.
Now let me ask this. I believe one of the things you can do with influence is raise a die 1 results level.
Yep.
With permission of the group, I will spend 1 to make it go from a complete failure to a partial success.
Okay. That changes the fiction. Because I think he comes in and realizes that his notebook is gone, but so too are you.
Ah, nice.
So I think that means we get to tick your intrigue clock twice, and I get to click his intrigue clock, which is a 6-part clock, 1.
Okay.
So the Winter Court itself, consequences, right? Consequences for your intrigue are at 1 of 6. You're at 2 of 6.
Awesome. I think the way he doesn't catch me, but the way he knows, if this is okay, it's those damn perfumes.
It's the perfume. Oh, that strange iron scent. Right? Jasmine, honeysuckle, iron. It's nice, but it's cheap.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Like, so we see Owen walk into his room, into his apartment here, his office, at the start of office hours, and he sits down behind his desk, and he goes to his blotter and reaches and shuffles papers for a minute and reaches for his notebook, and his notebook is missing. Like robot house. But yeah, so yes, your intrigue is underway.
Awesome.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Pursued by cats.
Sean, I would like to. We've got. Did I hear we have 6 exposure right now? Is that right?
We do.
All right. And can we quickly talk about what exposure means, and then we're going to talk about me using a downtime action to reduce it.
So exposure is like your if you want to imagine, Ilrien has a very robust gossip network, and we can be anything in Ilrien but boring and gauche, right? So if you want to imagine like Grand Theft Auto, your star ratings, right? Your wanted ratings, that's your scandal rating. Exposure is how likely it is that tongues are wagging about your house and about you as a coterie in particular. It's a gauge basically. When it fills up, when we get enough exposure, we get a scandal about the house, right? We are currently 6. We should probably bring that down before it ticks over and we get yet worse consequences.
What is the cutoff? 8?
8.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to fix that.
So as a downtime action, I want to reduce that exposure, and this is me taking advantage of my network.
Sure.
I want to, but I'm going to be a little twisted about it. So I want to reduce the exposure.
Okay.
And the way I want to do that is I want to find out what tongues are wagging,
Sure.
what those tongues are saying,
Sure.
and I want to redirect it to the bank.
Ooh, interesting.
Because
It's a bold move.
yeah, I want to somehow redirect it away from us towards the bank, because in Godfrey's very, very poor judgment, if I can weaken the bank, it opens up opportunities for me with Nadia, right? Because if her house is weakened, then I can come in on my horse and potentially help her.
Sure.
So, I think for me, it would be a consort. It would be me going from location to location where whispers occur, and because these are tongues wagging about us, I'm going to have to like 2 degrees of separation to make this happen, right? So I can't come in there and go, oh, it's not about us, it's about the bank, right?
Right. Yeah. No,
But
clearly this is all the bank's fault. Let me frame myself as an innocent man.
exactly.
Right,
Exactly. So, and maybe we just have it as a montage of just me doing what I do.
I understand that. And basically you are moving in the right circles, right?
Yes.
Like that's your
Yep.
hope.
And I'm not talking to the tongue that's wagging.
No.
I'm talking to the person feeding the tongue, right?
Yeah. If it's like, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's House Lavelle, right? House Lavelle is gossip mongering, as they do. So instead of going to the wigs that are speaking these obvious slanders and lies, you go to their coachmen, you go to their valets and so forth, right? Okay, so like a consort here absolutely makes sense. Go ahead and roll that consort.
All right, risky. Do I have on a
It's a
downtime? Do I
downtime
have?
action.
Okay, right.
Downtime action. The worst thing I can say is it doesn't work. So I can't say it doesn't work. I can say it's less effective than you hope.
Right.
So that means a 2 here, a failure state here means that like the Lavelles are loving this. Their valets are abuzz with it. Their coachmen are abuzz with it. The guards have heard it, through the doors of their, beautiful rosewood door, paneled, doors. And like it is a subject of fun, right? So when you come and say that it's the Bank of Brass and Bone, like it is a joke, like just continuing to like spread this, right? And then they say that like the Bank of Brass and Bone like set it all up. It's masterful. Look what idiots these Corvettos are. So I think like it does. It's a better story, which means that it brings us down one exposure.
Okay.
But it is still very much a problem.
All right. Good. I'm good. I dropped it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that's better than nothing.
Exactly.
That brings us down a whole tier of entanglement, which is nice. Right? Okay, so at this point, does anybody else have an extra downtime action? We've got some influence.
I was going to say I wanted to spend influence to a third one.
Yeah. What are we doing?
So I also want to lower the exposure since I kind of helped it.
Ah, thank you.
So, obviously some of this gossip is about me.
Yeah, right.
And well, I like gossip, but it has to be the right gossip.
Right.
And
we need to reframe the gossip.
Yeah. And everybody knows about the little tiff with Rizzardo and you used to be this.
Yeah.
So I want to hit some of the sparring areas and kind of set up this whole gossip round of Terstain's trying to do his comeback.
Oh, okay.
And so pick up a few fights
out of retirement.
Yeah. It's like, hey, the word on the street is he's lost his edge, he's heard it, and he's ready to prove that's not true.
That's cool. Okay. Very cool. So this feels like it might be skirmish. Is that what you're hoping for here?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Give them something else to talk about.
Right. Exactly.
This feels like something that we could assist on. Can you assist on downtime actions?
You can. It's going to cost you an influence as well, though.
It costs an influence. Okay. I'll hold off from that then.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that has value.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see how we do.
There we go.
All right.
Okay.
That's better. That's better, right? Yeah. So that's gonna take the track down 2 more. As tongues begin to wag instead about this brazen Corvetto Bravo, launching a comeback after being snubbed publicly at the Rakes Clasp. It's good. It's good stuff. Who is a tough fight for you?
That's a good question. Honestly, given what happened, I would say Maestro.
Yeah. Okay.
because I could definitely see that. I could even see Tristan even thinking, "Hey, I need tongues wagging."
Sure.
So
I know a grudge match. Yeah.
Right. And part of what I'm picturing with Maestra is the reason he was unarmed wasn't necessarily because he's a pugilist only.
Mm-hmm.
It's because he is a master at arms, and he goes into armed fights unarmed because he feels that puts him at their level because he's disadvantaged.
Right.
So actually saying, okay, you know what? How you lost some face, I lost some face. How about we get in there? Let's clash swords. Let's show them what really happens when people who know what they're doing are doing this.
That's cool.
And I feel like there's honor in the action that almost supersedes who wins or loses. Right? It's the honor of the ritual, which is so cool.
Yeah. So I think that there is some interesting juice to this. I think that you guys fight to a standstill.
Yeah.
And he, at the end of it all, I think he comes over and grudgingly takes your hand and shakes it and says, there is only one way that we'll ever settle this.
Yeah.
And that's in the Court of Blades.
Yes.
So you've got a standing invitation to come and cross swords with Maestra, who wears the golden lapel pin of the cross swords in the Court of Blades.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah.
If we don't mind, I would also like to spend an influence to try and wrap up the cat burglar situation. So one of the things I wanted to ask is, it's not listed among the sort of standard gear assortment, but would it be possible for me to procure, say, an iron knife?
Yeah, absolutely. A blade or two, like that. That could be an iron
Okay,
knife.
cool. Just in case it becomes relevant.
Sure.
Yeah, and I would like to try to follow and confront this mysterious, almost invisible woman, and see if I can talk her into stopping.
Interesting. Okay. I think that that makes sense.
Okay.
What action rating are you thinking? Like, because I know that you can find her is what it comes down to. I don't know that hunt will avail you here, and I just want to put that on there.
See, under normal circumstances, if I thought she was a regular human person, I would do command, because that's like an intimidation thing. I don't know if she is sufficiently mortal for my threats to have an effect.
What would Tharsis do in this situation? Like, just because she is odd, is that enough for Tharsis to completely change?
Probably
tax?
not, actually. Okay. He does have a bit of a terrifying reputation, so maybe he'll rely on that and
sure
to do it.
Absolutely.
What he will do, he will have a message sent to Lucius, basically with what he has observed, so that if this doesn't go right, he'll at least, he'll know what's going on.
So you're hedging your bets.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Because I mean, even if I can talk her down, Lucius may still want to arrest her and do things like that, and that's not my problem anymore.
Yep. Okay. So commanding here, are you hoping that she just like turns herself in, or that she'll submit to your custody, or?
Well, what I'm hoping to do is find out what she is after. I mean, is she just taking these because they'll look good on the mantelpiece, or are there is there some arcane thing she's up to, or what's going on? And then basically say, if these things are not returned, or most of these things are not returned, there will be serious consequences to you and your cats.
We're going to have a problem, and I'm going to make myself a problem. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Exactly. Yeah. So you're trying to chasten whatever this being is.
Exactly. And again, I cannot guarantee that it will apply in her particular case, but I do have the terrifying ability.
Yep.
I have an air of menace and danger, I guess, gain +1 effect when trying to intimidate someone.
Yep. That makes this in fiction possible.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Being terrifying transcends what side of the weave you live on, right?
Right, exactly. I'm also noticing the things that have done immediately after a show of force take an extra die, but I'm not going to stab a cat. I mean,
no,
I have standards.
Look, even bad guys love cat. No.
Exactly. All right, so I'm just going to make a regular old command roll here and see what happens.
Boosh. It's okay, right? I think what you get is like a cat, the hackles go up as like we're seeing from behind this woman, and she's dressed. It looks like burlap, and maybe like sailcloth. Like, it is not like raiment. It's very much like what you would expect of a street urchin beggar. And like, she turns and she looks kind of looks like she has been living rough, right? Like, she's careworn, gaunt around the cheekbones that would cut you the moment you touch them, right? And like, eyes kind of glassy, the first beginnings of like cataracts and everything. And she has a handful of like these votive candles, right? Like she's taken like the votives out of like the Hall of Remembrance and in the house that she's just burgled, right? And she looks and she says, "You would begrudge an old lady some light?"
I will buy you candles, but you cannot take them from these houses, or there will be blood.
And she drops the votives, right? And they like tinkle and shatter across the cobbles. And she's like, "If there will be blood, then best it is done in darkness." And she like draws herself up as regal as any queen. And she's like, "Tell your watchdogs they'll have no trouble from cats going forward."
So did we just introduce the Princess of Tatters?
This is Soraya, Fairy Queen.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, this is fine. This is great.
This is the beggar queen from under the gilt bridge.
Oh, fantastic.
And all the cats, her royal guard.
Oh, so we only wish we had introduced the Princess of Tatters.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But we did fill the cracking the case clock, right?
Correct. That case is cracked. Soraya knows that you have her number, and she's done with whatever she does, but she does not owe you answers.
No, that's fair. And basically, I will present that to Lucius as, I found the person who's responsible for your thefts. They say they won't do it anymore. If you want any further, arrests or complication with that, here's where you can find her. Good luck.
The weirdest thing, when you go in to see Lucius, like he's sitting at a sergeant's desk, right? And like kind of in the cramped bullpen and everything. And there's a look about him that is satisfied, right? Like he's very satisfied. Like he hooks a thumb back at like the stairway that leads down to the holding cells, and he's like, "Damnedest thing, like you come in with good news for me, and we got a suspect and everything."
Excellent.
He's like, it's the strangest thing. Came in and confessed and everything.
Did they? Excellent. I'm glad I was able to be of assistance.
The things you do to these poor little cut purses, like just shaken like a leaf.
Well, let's not talk about such things. We do what is needful, right?
He nods. He's like, "Well, you always get good work. You always do good work."
Is Lucius a rival?
Yeah,
Technically.
This is
He sure
amazing.
is. Yeah. But you've done him a good turn. You bailed him out, and somehow you delivered him the suspect, right?
Nice.
I don't think I did, but that's okay.
This is great. The suspect, he told us everything.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure he did. And I'm sure he was terrified of someone.
Yeah, I done it. I done all of that.
I done did
Every
it.
bit of
Whatever it was, I did it.
That poor man's son down
Cool.
there.
And I will tip my hat and be on my way.
Just real quick, we're gonna do a quick unseen as we follow the stairs down into the holding cells, and a cat paces back and forth in the cell. All right. So, any other outstanding downtime actions?
We might not want to keep the cat around.
I think
All
we're
right.
good.
Good.
I think we call
Let's
it.
do XP because I owe you guys some XP.
Great.
Cool.
Do you want to just real quick run through our XP triggers?
Let's do it.
Sure.
I'll start if everybody's good with that.
Sure.
Absolutely.
All right. So my first XP trigger is desperate actions, which I've marked both of those. So that was done. Did I address a challenge with stealth and or perception? I'm going to argue I did when I was constantly trying to stay aware of everything happening in that fight pit. I always
That was
wanted to
great.
know where everybody was at all times. So if you're okay with that, I'd like to take that.
Sounds good.
Did I express my beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
You believe in Nadia, don't you?
I was going to say, that sounds like a
Yeah.
drive to me.
Yeah. I'm not gonna push for it though, because I feel like that's overlapping too much with Paramore. Like I think my drives are a little bit different than just her, even though we've been playing the shit out of that, which I love.
Okay. So
I'm just saying that it counts because it's the
Okay.
thing your character wants.
Okay,
Beautiful. All right, great.
I'll give another argument if Sean's okay with downtime activities.
Sure, yeah.
The
You
thing
are playing.
The thing you did for Chastain very much fell under Godfrey's drives.
Very true. Yeah, you know what? That's great. Yep. No, I'll take that.
Yeah.
That's good. I struggled with an issue for my indulgence or scandals during the session. That I don't think
Not yet.
That I don't think happens. So
I don't have my hooks in you yet.
yep. So I'm good. I'm good
Okay.
with my XP.
Sounds good. And remember, any desperate actions count as XP.
Got that
on
marked.
your-
Yep.
Okay, good. All right.
All right. So Tharsis got 1 XP for his desperate role in the big fracas. Beyond that, gaining XP when I address a challenge with pursuit or observation. I think the pursuit would qualify with the search for Soraya, and the observation was when I took the high position up. So I'll take a point there.
Where are you going to take that point, by the way?
That is an excellent question. I think I'm probably going to put it in body because I have further skill needs. Let's see. As
Never
far
enough XP to go around.
no, it's funny how that works. Let's see. Are we saying pursuit and observation are 2 separate triggers?
Pursuit and observation are 2 separate triggers.
Okay, cool. Then express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. Not particularly.
Okay.
I don't think. And then no indulgences or scandals yet. Although I'm
You
on
did.
the way.
You absolutely did take a.
With the indulgence. Yeah, no, you're absolutely
yeah.
right. All right, cool.
Yeah, you got a whole other can of worms that have spooled out because of
Fair
your
enough.
indulgence.
Okay.
I'd argue you definitely got into your background. When we were in the fighting pit, the guy started insulting the Altori fighter, and you two
Oh, good point.
both laid into it really, really in a fun way.
Yeah,
was
I
good.
don't think much came of it, but yeah, all right, I'll take that box.
Take one. Yeah. Because that was a tense situation. It could have
All
gone
right.
real bad.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Who's next?
You don't necessarily have to get in trouble about it. You just have to. That is the did I play a rounded character
Okay.
trigger. Cool.
So I'll go ahead and get started.
Sounds good.
You addressed the challenge with violence. I
Yes.
think we can say I did violence. You addressed the challenge with panache. I hope I can say that one.
Yes.
You express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. Okay. And then struggle with issues from your indulgence or scandals, which the downtime I did, but during the actual errand I did not. So
Yeah. No, tongue's wagging during downtime because of your liaison with Rostam. Totally count.
okay.
So is that 4?
That's
That's
full.
4.
Where are you putting them?
I'm thinking I'm going to put 2 into body, and then I'll leave the other 2 for the generic to go toward new special abilities.
Yeah. Character advancement.
Gotcha.
All right, I've got. I had 2 desperate actions, both in spirit, that are already marked on my sheet. We've got. Did you address a challenge with arcane knowledge? I certainly did that, and
Mm-hmm.
or power, and I believe I did that as well in that last.
You did.
Scene. Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background? I think my background came a lot into it more than anything else, but also like my belief in like the idea of love and things like that. I think really kind of played out for me, but I did not really touch any indulgences or scandals in a struggle way. So.
Fair enough. Okay. And now I get to ask you guys the questions about your house, right? Did you overcome any obstacles with coercion or majesty? Did you lean on your good reputation as the grand old house? Did you coerce someone to doing your bidding?
Not really, because we did.
so.
We were very adamant about not entangling the house in this.
That's good.
No, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
That counts. Did we contend with challenges above our current station?
I feel like
That's pretty big. We came out swinging.
Especially.
Big old swinging. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Did we bolster our coteries' reputation or develop a new one? How do you
What
think the
was
city's talking
our
about
initial
you?
reputation? I don't remember. Was it uncouth? I can look it up.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if I can find it on the sheet.
So tell me what you gentlemen think. I feel like we've set the table for this. I
Yeah.
think that we're starting to form the wolves as a presence and as its own thing. I don't know whether we have served dinner yet.
I think it was our thing was ambitious. And
Yeah, that's what I've got marked.
I think it
kinda
totally
like
makes sense. You are definitely ambitious
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
like
I changed that. I think we do get that.
Yeah,
the amount of swings.
We're pushing hard.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
good.
between the amount of swings and just the amount of spots where we're like, oh, hey, this is a place where we could, make inroads into this group and this group and this group.
I completely agree.
So
what could go wrong?
yeah. And finally, did we express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of our coterie?
I think we had some inner conflict going on with the whole discussion of how much we're going to tell about Nadia.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, but we're seeing a lot of these bonds in play.
Yes.
And that's huge stuff too.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think our coterie tends to have to weigh house and personal goals back and forth a lot.
Oh yeah.
Which is good. That's where this system shines. So thank you for playing hard to that.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Neither does Senora herself.
All right.
This is fine.
So that sounds like 3 for the coterie.
Beautiful.
And I need to tell you guys what the entanglement that I rolled was. So luckily, you guys bring it down to 3 rather than 6, which means I don't get to hurt you too bad. What I get is rivalry, which means that this is where I get to bring a house minor to come and make trouble for you. The thing that is happening in the background, the thing that is making waves is the Bank of Brass and Bone was made to look weak and vulnerable during your score by the Fortunato Trade Company. And then now there's rumors and things that are circulating around that the bank is bringing this on themselves, and there's all manner of things happening that way. And the only thing that is standing in the way of the Bank of Brass and Bone coming under scrutiny from the Prince of Ilrien, is the fact that you are all entangled. The Fortunato Trade Company is now at a -2.
Well,
so I think the way it comes is, Lord Westbrook sends another missive, right? And it's, why can't I access my accounts? That next week.
We'll look into that.
That's really weird. We'll get right on that.
Oh God! So you do not want to miss Stars and Wishes. We're gonna go to credits. We'll be right back. right, stars and wishes. This is all you, Sean.
Okay, fair enough. So let's start with Brian.
Oh God.
Tell me your stars and wishes.
Okay. Well, as usual, I enjoyed everybody's.
I can see you, Brian. I think everybody's coming back.
Okay. Hey.
All right, I think we're coming back.
Yeah.
Anyway, I loved the setup and the payoff with the cat. And I'm not assuming that payoff is over yet, but I love the way it was set up. So that was a lot of fun. But I think my favorite single moment was probably the conversation between Tharsis and Nestor about we have to tell him, we can't tell him, we have to tell him, we can't tell him. That was just not only was that a beautiful moment in and of itself, but I think it's going to set up a lot of delightful moments going forward.
I agree.
And then as far as wishes go, I really want to see what happens with the whole Apollo Brizzolato thing. It's like, hey, now that we're your friends, can I stab you? Just a little. Exactly. I mean, it actually crossed my mind to just walk up to him and say, look, I've been asked to send a message. I'm really sorry about this. Can we just do something and work it out peacefully? But I think.
All right. So, guys, give me just a quick second.
I honestly think that
I don't have
that
everybody.
as
Hold on.
As an errand will be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, he was saying he didn't have everybody, so be right back.
All right, I am back. For some reason, I cannot get Nathan. Let me get Sean back in. God, why can't I get Sean to show up?
I can see him and hear him.
Yeah, I can see him too, but I can't get him into the overlay for some reason. Nathan came in. Sean, can you give me a quick refresh? What's always so amazing about all of this, like the plates that are spinning right now to make any of this happen, it's amazing and it works ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, my speed had bottomed out, but it's back now. Can you hear me?
Back. All right. So that was
cool.
Brian's stars and wishes.
Sure. Okay. So I was talking about those, but I shouldn't hear them. I said that
we heard him. We're good.
Oh, you did. Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Perfect. Let's go to Donald.
Okay. So stars will kind of fall into the wishes.
Okay.
And that the cats as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason for the cats is because one of the things I love about the system and a lot of work you've put into the back end to make this work is you don't have plot threads as much as you have plot macrame.
Oh, interesting. What's that mean?
Well, so part of the stuff that people don't see on stream because it happens behind is there's all these tables that you roll in between the seasons. So while we have our errands and we have our specific things we're doing, all the houses have their own long-term projects that are going on that you can interact with. And so, if you're doing a longer campaign, 3 months down the road, the entire world has changed. You've maybe reorganized some of the houses. There's actually a 7th house in the book in case one of the bottom house loses off and you need an extra house to put in. And so it really turns into this whole intertwined, knotted mess of conspiracy theories. And so that's kind of the wishes is I like that type of stuff. That's what drew me to Quarter Blades in the first place. So I want more of that.
Okay. And what I think is neat about that, Donald, is that idea of that GM mini game that came out of Blades, right? So that's something that was inherent in Blades and comes to Forged in the Dark. What's amazing to me is how changing factions to houses changes the feel and the flavor of it. So it's another example of something you've heard me talk about in the first 3 episodes, which is when I read Court of Blades, it felt, and this is not a criticism, it felt like a reskin. But playing it, this is a very different game than Blades, and I don't think I fully grasped that until I was immersed here and felt it. Because when you read, like, instead of factions, it's houses, and so on and so forth. But man, it feels super different when you're in the world.
Awesome. Thank you.
Also, you can get
that's
good
actually
food here. It's not all mushrooms and
Yeah.
eels.
yeah. We get to linger over these beautiful
get
plates.
brandy. Brandy's
I should have lingered. I should have lingered more over the food at L'Atelier.
Don't go old George Orwell on us.
No. But if you pick up the additional zine, there's actually a tasting menu from L'Atelier.
Yes, that's right.
I've used those menus in my game.
Awesome. That's exactly what they're for. Awesome. Okay. Well, I can definitely promise to provide more plot macrame. But there's a counterpoint to that as well. Once we put that in play, any more than it already is, because there's plenty of factions moving and shaking, you need to go seek those out, because those are there and they're working. And I'm going to roll on them. You can maybe get in the way of that, though. Nathan, tell me your stars and wishes, brother.
Okay, my stars. I loved with Brian's downtime actions how they kept leading to just a little bit of trouble for us every time, or a lot of trouble in some cases.
Yeah.
Like, obviously the herself issue is a big one. And I feel like we're getting to that Dutch boy in a dam situation.
Nice.
And it's going to really get to us unless we somehow make an errand that solves 4 or 5 problems at once. I'm loving that. What I want to see more of, I love Soraya as a character. I loved her in other actual plays I've seen. I love her in the book. I think that when she shows back up, it's going to ruin our day in the best way. And I'm looking forward to it.
I will promise to follow through on that knife. Cool. I can definitely handle that particular wish. Craig, stars and wishes.
So I thought there was zero chance that it would get to me without the star being mentioned, and I'm shocked that I get to and I don't even think it was close. The star of this episode was in the restaurant.
No,
The exchange between Sean and Donald, the ability for the two of you to riff off each other, to play a safe conversation with the layers that the two of you played in, is a testament to the hobby, quite frankly. Like, I thought it was a really big deal. I really did. And I thought it was expertly handled by both of you. That was far and beyond not only the star of this episode, I think it's been the star of the series for me so far. I thought it was really incredible. Wishes is a little difficult because I'm going to put Sean on the spot.
Okay.
So the original plan here was errand, downtime errand, and we're gonna continue with that plan, but be ready, Sean, for pressure next year for a season 2, because I'm with everybody on this. Like, I feel like we have created such an incredible a buffet of options. And people talk about Forged in the Dark as a great one shot, and I'm not going to say it's not. But when you play Forged in the Dark games as a one-shot, you are missing so much. And you're starting to really get a sense of that in the play that we're having, which is we are building layers upon layers of things and gears, and things are happening in this world. And, there's mechanics that are significant to go from session to session, like stress. And a one-shot, stress doesn't mean anything. Right? You can just do whatever the hell you want. But when stress over time matters, when exposure over time matters, it really is where this gets interesting. So my wish is that I can talk the other 4 of you into a season 2 sometime next year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This game, when we first started hacking on it, like with our home group, we played 46 sessions. And most of those were, 4 or 5 hour sessions.
Wow.
This game breathes. This game breathes incredibly well, like for campaign play and things like that. And I would love to show that off. maybe not 46 sessions. That's taking up an awful lot of y'all's time. But,
I think 43 is more than enough.
okay, fair enough. Yeah, we can talk about
I
that.
thought the answer was 42.
Always. Always.
This is a great
But
game. I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, it's going to be real good. So my stars and wishes, because I get to have those here too.
Yes.
I agree. Donald was a standout dancing partner at the restaurant. But what I really loved, one of my very favorite things is when somebody brings up a mechanic that doesn't get shown an awful lot. And today, Nathan, you did me a service by saying, I want to start an intrigue.
Yeah.
Intrigues are one of my very favorite mechanics. It's one of the big levers that characters have to change the world. If I had no plans for the Winter Fae, and you came to me and said, "Hey, I really need to know more about the Winter Fae. I need to change the world." Now I absolutely have plans for the Winter Fae.
Yeah.
Because now there is weight and gravitas. So thank you so much for engaging that mechanic, because it's one of my very, very favorites, and I rarely get to use it.
Well, I love it because it gave me the chance to do stars and wishes like mid-game too. Like you
Right.
kind of almost put a wish
Great
out
way
there
to put it.
with that mechanic. It's really nice.
Yep, that's awesome. Thank you. As far as wishes, like I really want to drive home that you guys don't have enough time to do all of the things that you want to do in this season.
It's
much less in this run of the show, right? I want you guys to have the tough conversation in character where you have to decide whether the house is more important, or your steadily mounting dangers, or the thing that is calling your heart, right? I want to see the characters not in pain, but like at friction with themselves.
Yep.
So if we could have those little personal scenes where like, we can't do this, like this or whatever, right? Support each other, be excited about each other's ideas, but always remember that at the end of the day, y'all are hoping to advance your standing in the house, right? And right now you have done, well, now it's 2, right? Thanks to some clever long-term projects and some lucky rolls, we've got 2 of our opportunity for 3 dice to advance next season. So remember that wedding is happening, and like that's one more thing that might be on your social schedule.
So cool.
Right? Okay, and that's what I got for y'all. Thank you so much for playing with me. Like, this has been so much fun.
Oh, it's been great, Sean. Lower left-hand corner of the screen right now. Go to a couple of drakes.com. Not only check out picking up this game, but oh my goodness, there's so many good games on that page.
Just buy them all. Do it.
Oh, it's like, it's really good stuff.
Do you offer a lifetime subscription?
So, funny
Technically,
story.
monthly payments he does.
Yep. As long as you're willing to hand me some money on my Patreon, Sushi patrons get all of our new releases as free copies for supporting us during.
I don't think I realized that, Sean.
Plus.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
How much is that a month?
That's $10.
Oh, that's
such
what a
a good
bargain.
deal.
Oh my
That's
God.
crazy. You're crazy.
That's also our monthly hangouts, access to our Discord, voting on, like, we just had voting on the cover for our next game coming out, Feyborg, and then complete unfiltered access to how we make games. So.
And for those of you watching right now, I can tell you it's a really good Discord, and those words very rarely leave my mouth.
That's coming from Craig, and Craig's Discord is awesome.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say there's another really good Patreon Discord in the Third Floor Wars.
Yeah, those are the 2 at the top of my list.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes me happy. All right, we will see everybody soon. Thanks so much, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Take care. Howdy, friends. Thank you for watching. All our content is archived and organized in playlists on the Third Floor Wars YouTube channel. Check it out. And if you could like, follow, subscribe, and even set your notifications to this channel on YouTube and Twitch, we'd appreciate it, and it'll make sure that you catch all of our content. I talk with creators, designers, and experts across the gaming landscape in every episode of our podcast, Tabletop Talk. Open up your favorite podcatcher and search for Tabletop Talk from Third Floor Wars. Support your creators. They make the content you love, and it's your support that makes it happen. If you want to help us, go to Third Floor Wars on patreon.com, and you can help us for as little as $1 a month. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Take care.